Good evening. Tonight we're going to talk about the actions that the President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, is taking against the Huachicol. Here to my right, I have Luis Francisco that is in favor of those actions, and Jose to my left that is against those actions. Luis, you may begin.
Well, food destruction is one of the most serious security problems in Mexico because it affects us in many ways, and we need to stop this problem as soon as possible. It's an activity involving entire communities. The states that are more involved in this serious problem are Guanajuato, Puebla, Tamaulipas, Hidalgo, Tlaxcala, y Estado de Mexico. It also involves entrepreneurs, military, police, mayors, and employees of Pemex.
Thank you, Luis. Jose?
Well, as you said, Luis, one of the main objectives of the new president of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, is the fight against Huachicol. And some of its methods are closing the gas stations, which after an investigation were confirmed that they were assorted with stolen hydrocarbons. There were also many pipelines across the country closed to avoid being milled by the Huachicol groups. And not just closing the pipelines, but to send and command military groups to monitor the pipelines that were still open. So the Huachicol groups are not easy. It's not easy for them to steal the Huachicol. So yeah, I confirm. Well, I think the same way as you that Huachicol, the fight against Huachicol is one of the main objectives of Andrés Manuel, as you said, Luis. And well, what do you think about the things he's doing? Do you think it's correct, or why do you state that the things he's doing are correct?
Well,
You may begin.
Andrés Manuel López Obrador on December 27 of 2018 announced closure of talks on the change of how gasoline is going to be distributed in all its country. The plan also was that the National Defense and the Navy safeguard 58 Pemex strategic facilities, including 6 refineries, terminal storage and dispatch terminals, 12 repurposing stations, and the control. I think it's a good idea to, that what is making Andrés Manuel López Obrador, because it's a slow method, but like an efficient one, because it's like taking the what you call a little bit down, and it's helping us to see and open our eyes that if we are all together, we can fight against the what you call.
Thank you, Luis. Jose?
Well, Luis, I support and agree with you that we as a country should and must work together if we are fighting against something as huge as Huachicol, because now it's a countrywide topic that we are all talking about and we are all against it. But I think it's pretty absurd to close the pipelines and the gas stations, because you stop in a big percentage the mobility of the country and the citizens, and more specifically to the states that are being closed. I mean, to the states that are being close their gas stations and the pipelines that take the gasoline to them. So, and also I think that if you're sending military groups, and you should send military groups qualified to do the job, because I don't know if you heard, there were some military groups that did nothing against the Huachicol groups that were milking the pipelines. And yeah, I'm looking this in a philosophical way. I think that you have a strong point saying that we should and must work together as a country, but you should not do something that affects citizens. You can fight against this group of people that are affecting us, but you cannot affect all the country just because you want to fight this group. I mean, you cannot close the gas stations because, for example, if you need to get your child to the school, how are you gonna do it if you haven't got any gasoline at all? So this is my way of thinking. In this way, I mean, we should work together, but how are we gonna work together against us, against ourselves? So I don't know what you think about the thing I just said, and yeah.
Thank you. Luis, you may answer.
The president stated that the pipelines will be closed as long as it takes, and the objective of this point was to close 4 of at least the 13 channels of Pemex, and they will make like avoid the bans of huachicoleros may take the gasoline. One like answer to your question, Jose, I think it's because like us as Mexicans we need to work together and be like more open minded to the idea of AMLO that is like closing the pipelines because well at least he's selling the gasoline like in different like ways with like buses or containers or with like well in different ways and also what he's making is like close only the pipelines so the huachicoleros can take the gasoline from the pipelines. He's not like saying oh okay I'm going to like to take out all the gasoline. He's sending the gasoline to the rest of the country, but also the huachicoleros is taking like the advantage of like stop the buses or the people that are transporting gasoline and that like is a big problem because also it's like affecting the environment, the country, the economy and everything. And it's dangerous because like the people that is around that may can explode or like suffer burns or something.
Thank you. Jose?
Well, I pretty understand your point, and I think there are several ways of thinking, and one of yours is pretty valuable and pretty worthy. And but I think, well, I mean, there are a lot of problems bigger and that affect more our country than Huachico, and government does absolutely nothing. And I don't know why AMLO is so willing to stop the Huachico. Yeah, as I said, I think it's a pretty important topic, and we as Mexicans need and must fight against it. But I mean, why is he being so radical, so all willing? If there are all of other stuff that we should fight, and I mean, as you said in the beginning, we should fight against it, and it's a slow process. We should wait and be patient. But why being this radical, closing? I mean, more than 200 gas stations all the way, well, all white country, and I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but I think it's pretty important not to affect ourselves, as I said in the first argument I gave you. And as I said before too, there are a lot of ways of thinking, and yours is pretty worthy. But I think we should not, even if we're working together, we should not fight against ourselves, because Huachico is not as important as discrimination, racism. There are a lot of other stuff that are way more important than Huachico, and we're not doing anything against it. And AMLO also said that he will lower the price of the gasoline, and he hasn't done anything about that. Making the people getting desperate and looking for any way to get or earn any gasoline. And this is getting, it's hiring the level of Huachico in Mexico. So the thing is, if he really wanted to lower the Huachico, there are a lot of other ways to do it, and not affecting we as a country and as citizens.
Well, before applying the plan that AMLO was making, the average of pipe robbery was 787 per day, and right now is reduced like 177 per day. It's like a big reduce, and also they have closed 103 gas stations for selling gasoline and installing diesel. Well, like are you saying, it's a strong problem here in Mexico, and like Mexicans we need to solve it, because you say like it's not racist or like murder or something like that, but it's like a big problem and also we need to stop. And I think that AMLO is making and fighting against one point at a time, and like it's also because it affects us not only like for the state or the government. The gasoline is for everyone, so if the Huachicoleros is taking the gasoline for everyone, we're going to suffer about that. And we need to take like a good ways so we can fight against, and we need to like join to the government and make more ideas so we can help them. And the lack of gasoline the lack of gasoline was a small term, and with that small term we can fight a lot of time of the Huachicoleros that are stolen.
Well, thank you very much, Luis and Jose. You have given some worthy answers and some very philosophical answers too from your point of view. And we have concluded that it's time that the Mexican people should come together as one in order to fight these through these circumstances in order to make the country better. Even though it's hard, if we join, we can fight the small cause, since we are a lot of people, and we should always push forward and with a head high.